Okay, I got it bolted down. It's not torqued, but it's just bolted down with that ratchet driver. I don't need it torqued. I need to be hitting the pump. I need to be sandwiching the pump. And when I'm tightening the pump down to the body, I mean, technically I could torque it because there is a gasket in there, but I'm not going to compress the gasket another 6 thou. So I'm just going to use 6 thousandths. I could use 10, I suppose. I tried 30. And basically what I'm doing is I'm running it around the edge, making sure that I don't have any tight spots. See, I'm going to hit the chamfer. You can see I'm this far out, and I'm hitting the chamfer on this plate that's dipping into the torque converter. And so here now the only thing you can do here is fish around. Oh, you can see the edge. So I'm not hitting. Checking in. Whoops. Checking in. Checking it. Now I'm hitting that taper again. And she's getting a little tighter, but I am able to move it. And part of it is because, you know, there's it's not flat here. I got to get in and bend and get underneath. And so, but basically, in a nutshell, you're just trying to identify if you've got all of your clearances. Okay. All you're doing, identifying that you indeed have your clearance. So this is I gotta get 2 fingers on this, but that's basically, I gotta check this area a little bit more and this area a little bit more. And if not, I gotta take a little bit of material off of the aluminum housing. But that's basically what I'm doing, going back and forth to make sure that I don't have any interference. Okay? Where it looks close, can I get in there? Yeah. You know, I have a boatload here, but 15 or so, easily twice 6, so there you go. Okay, now for all intents and purposes, I was able to move the 6 thou gauge all the way around. You can see, you know, on that area that was tougher, I was scraping on the Sharpie, the magic marker, as I was introducing it in, and that was the area. Now I was getting into that cavity there, but I was able to introduce from this side here and get into there. So now that was 6 thou, and I do have the original gasket underneath. So what I did was I grabbed the new gasket, which is eventually going to go on the inside. But just to kind of give an idea of what's going on here, you all's got to kind of think about these kinds of things. But these bolts, the factory bolts, have washers on them to keep fluid from leaking out of the front of the pump housing. So I'll have to put another gasket on the outside to go into the sandwich here. So I'm going to, pardon my light, but I'm going to set this on here now. And so that gasket measures at 18 thousandths. Crushed, it's going to be less than 18 thousandths, but that, you know, that isn't that big of a deal. The whole point is that with my 6 thousandths and the other gasket on, that's going to provide adequate clearance for the pump. So at this point now I don't hear any. If I turn it on the radius, there is no metal on metal sound, and I can properly torque seal the pump to the transmission the adapter to the transmission body, and move forward on that. Now, one other thing, going back over to the engine side, Get my finger out of there. Okay. We talked. Come on. It's just got to be there. There. Okay. Talked about the torque converter clearance. You have to allow for your torque converter to expand, and that's why it sets back 150 thou from dead end to the transmission, so the torque converter can expand and it has room to balloon a little bit. Here we have, you know, substantially more than that, roughly 1/4 of an inch. I think it's, I don't remember what the clearance was specifically, and I don't think I have it up here. I believe it was 200. Yeah, I don't remember which dimension it was. It's in the drawing, but don't remember right offhand. But in any event, you know, we have the clearance to be able to allow the torque converter to expand. We know that the chamfered bolts go below the surface on the mounting to the transmission. We know that we're dead on here. The final phase to this entire thing is now to identify a method to register this to the crankshaft. So I'm going to have to do some thinking on that, and I might take it off of this surface right here with the pump mounted, with the transmission mounted to the adapter to there, with the flex plate, the flywheel, etc. taken off, and then I can put the dial indicator, the magnet, on the crankshaft and go around this surface to see if I've got any run out on the assembly. So and if I do have run out, I have to identify the location of that run out, you know, where on the clock it is, and then I have to get offset dowels to adjust this accordingly. Because I measured the run out on the bell, on the block itself, and I was less than 1/1000th of an inch total run out, TIR, I have up to 7 thou. So the variation is going to be you know, in the construction of this and that, and so you've got whatever the level degree of tolerance is there, this stack up there, and with the transmission. So that in and of itself, I'm going to rely on the because this is all factory stuff. I could probably put the dial on here and measure the run out at the end of the torque converter. That's probably what I'll do before I put that on. Register that number. I got my block number somewhere in the office. Register any run out with the torque converter, and then pull that whole assembly off, bolt this assembly on, and measure the run out on the center of that pump. You know what I'm saying, to the block. If I'm within 7/1000 total run out, the sum of the total run out, zero it on the low spot, high spot, zero it on the extreme on one side, wherever that is, and measure the dial indicator to the total distance to the other side. And that needs to be less than 8/1000ths, but I say 7 or less for to meet current factory specifications. So that's the game. That's the game at this point. And at this time, I have decided that I'm going to go out to eat with my wife. It is almost 5 o'clock, and I have enough time to clean up. And if I do more tonight, it'll be with regard to dialing it in. I don't know that necessarily I need to video. Maybe I'll video a piece or two of it so that you get the concept visually of what I'm doing. But it's once if I video it and you see it, it's pretty self-explanatory stuff. So very simple to do. Last piece then is to bolt that back onto here. And you can see I made a little mark here and there, and I've got to work on relieving that for the bolts. Hi guys. So I got a lot of different things done as I was preparing for this bell housing deal. And one of those was going back and forth and cleaning up a bunch of clean the metal surface, over cleaning the metal surface of the bell housing, the engine block bell housing. I took the time and fabricated up the lower bell housing or torque converter cover. Just got it in prime right now. We can look at that at a later time, but that bolts on the lower bell housing to close out the flat spot on here. The flat spot on here is because the material thickness, this surface being flush here, did not allow, let me get over here, did not allow for the installation of the pan the way I wanted it to. I wasn't gonna trim that edge or do anything goofy like that. So when the pan is on the engine block, you can see the lip. Where am I at here? Okay, I got the bolt centered on there. You can see the lip extends beyond there and would have hit the bell housing or the adapter plate. So I have the thickness of the adapter plate and then a little bit. Let me set this down. And then a little bit, I have this thickness and then a little bit more to get in behind there. So if this is dry, what winds up happening is, let's see here, this will bolt in this direction. Oh, if I can see where I'm going here. Like, there we go, like so. See that? And then provide the clearance for the cover. And then if I wanted to do inspection, although the pan will be in the way, but the reality is I needed that clearance and I of course want to close it out. I don't need to get any shit up in the underneath there. So then after that, I took and I dialed in, left the torque converter on, bolted the adapter plate on, transmission body was not on, and ran my dial indicator on the torque converter, just magnet on, as long as I had a good rigid spot to hold it, and went around the inner circumference on this plate. And I had 4,000s total run out, total indicator run out. And okay, I'm within spec, and I know this is locked in here. I don't have a lot, but I'm in spec. But of course, tolerances, they stack, don't they? But I can't move this plate on here without getting offset dowels. But of course, that's only the first run, and that indicates where that is relative to the torque converter. Could there be enough slop in the 4 torque converter bolts to give me 4,000 total indicated reading? If that 4,000's telegraphed through the entire buildup, good. I'm less than. I want to be 7 or less, like I said, or less than 7 ideally, and so that's a number to remember. But relative to that, then I bolted this on, and I'm indicating, cut the torque converter off, and I'm indicating off of the crankshaft. I got the flex plate, but which is bolted to the crankshaft. Put my indicator on the flat side of that shaft. Just basically screwed this down to this, tighten the bolts that are, you know, around the body of this pump house, and then take a reading. And then this is kind of hard to understand, but what I like to do is the dial on the left of 0 or on the right of 0 or on the left of 0. In this case, the dial was on the right of 0 and it was 11 thousandths. And it was at this location right here. Relative, you know, just eyeball. And I went over here, which happens to be on the opposite side. I was 14 thou on the right. And again, 11 thou. Gee, me Christmas. 14 thou on the left and 11 thou on the right. So my total indicated reading was, come on guys, I'm on the right on this side, I'm on the left on that side, and I know I've mixed it up. But on the opposite ends. So my total indicated reading was 25 thousandths. Ouch. Ouch. Little concerned, little worried. What in the hell? Well, as it turns out, then I got under, and these are all Torx, taper, and I loosened them. With this mount, I just went up and, with my ratchet, just went up and loosened all 7 of them. And I took my rubber mallet, or whatever you want to call it, dead blow, and hit it. And so at this point, I tapped it around, and you can see we're sitting at, I know my needle's bent, but just say 2 thou. 2 thou. Rotating the crank. And it's gonna, you know, it's really hard to see where we're at there. Okay. Coming around. Okay. Coming around. Okay. We're back at where we were. Get a couple readings because there might be debris on there. And we're in. There was enough slop in that chamfer, and chamfers in the taper on the flange into the pump body. We got that a little narrow. So he allowed for enough movement in there, and quite frankly, half a 20 thou, 10 thou, 25, 12 or so thou, there was enough movement in there to center it. So I got it. Now the question is, how am I going to hold that right where it's at right now? Because it locates based on that chamfer, but I can move this somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 thou. And obviously when I bolted it, I was all the way to one side because I could, okay. So, luck has me getting it centered. Now the question is, how do I keep it centered? Of course, I can put locating, this is steel now, and I can put locating lugs at strategic areas on here. I just don't want to weld onto this, but I suppose that might be my only option. And if I just tack it on, I suppose. Something of that nature. Don't know yet. Thinking it through. But that's where I'm at. All right. Well, I got all the transmission taken back off. Got it dialed in. I did weld tabs so they would rest up against the case to assist in centering. And I tacked them on in each spot, checked, came over and stitched. They went across, came across, check, okay? And I'm well, I'm in that 3.5 now range. I can tap it and I can get it to 0. I can tap it and, I can clock a little this way, a little bit with the transmission to get it dialed right in. So now that's good. What really sucks is that you're registering off of a ring and a taper, and you got all those flipping variables going along with. So I know that that's in the center within 4 thousandths as indicated. And I know that I can rotate that under the rag in there and stay within 4 thousandths. But I know with just whatever I have for wiggle room in there, the smallest amount I can get it closer. So I got it to 3, like I said, I got it to 3.5. And I thought, I'm good. I'm not going to go out. I'll certainly stay in. But I think what's going to happen for the buildup is I'll build the transmission up, which of course changes the weight of the transmission, but it's ready to build up. I'll have to stick it on here without the torque converter first, and I have enough room to run all the bolts up, put the Loctite on them and make this an integral part of the transmission, right? But because that bolts to the pump housing, so the result is the pump house, I can't build the transmission all the way up until I get everything, there. And then pull the bolts out of the pump housing, put that on, take the whole assembly and stick it on top of here, dial it in to as close as I can, to 0, I guess, to get it to 0, and then tighten those bolts, take the whole assembly off, put it on the bench, and then torque everything to specification. I may even do a bead around here. I don't know what that's going to do though. I don't want to glue it on because you can't, if something does happen in the tranny where I have to pull the pump out, this has to be serviceable. So in any event, I got the whole thing done, and I hit it with kind of a light texture. The camera, it's just sprayed, so the camera makes it substantially more textured than it is, but the finish just kind of looks a little more like cast aluminum. Of course, I covered the dowel pins because I want to get the son of a bitch off of there. But anyway, so that'll bolt up to the transmission. I painted the cover what would be, common. It's just sprayed, but it's going to be flat black. It's going to be that color. Well, it'll be that color right there. It's more of a semi-gloss. Satin. That's what it is, it's satin. So it looks like a factory color. And there you have it. So at this point, I can start building that transmission up. I've got everything here. I can get it over on the table, get all the parts put together, build it out, and make it one big 46 RE chunk of heaviness. But I think that's going to be the best route to go at this point. Thank you.